Have you ever saved all year for that one family vacation and ended up stressed out about every single dollar?
Not anymore. Hi, I'm Mary Ellen.
And I'm Jo. We're two busy moms who have cracked the code on travel with points and miles.
We're here to show you how we turn everyday expenses into extraordinary vacations.
This is Wonderland on Points, where we share tips and tricks to help you earn free and deeply discounted travel.
Let the adventure begin. We are so happy that you are back here with us on Wonderland on Points, presented by Yahoo Travel. Today, we have a new friend to the podcast. We are so excited to talk with Cam Snyder from The Points Principle. You can find her on Instagram. We are going to chat with her about an incredible trip that she took with her family to Mexico City. Right here at the top, I want to say we are recording this at the end of February 2026. We know that Mexico is going through a bit of a hard time right now, and there is some concern from some people with whether or not they should visit Mexico at the time of this recording. Obviously, it depends on when you're listening to it, but we know that Mexico City is a vibrant city. Mexico is a beautiful country that people will want to visit again. So if you're not ready to visit Mexico just yet, file this episode away and plan for your future trips. We are excited to hear about all that Mexico City has to offer. So we just wanted to say that right off the top as we get into the episode. So, Cam, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, ladies. It's an honor to be here. I love your podcast. I'm so excited.
We are so excited to have you on, especially to dig into a city that I feel like gets overlooked because people are always talking about the beaches and they're always kind of wanting to go to the edges. I've heard amazing things about Mexico City, but I don't hear it talked about as a family destination the same way that I do people talking about Cabo, Puerto Vallarta, Cancun, all of those kinds of things. So seeing your reel was very inspiring and I cannot wait to dig into it. But before we get to that point, we want to know about you a little bit. How did you get started in points and miles, and when did you decide to turn it into a teaching on Instagram kind of thing?
Yeah. So my husband and I have been into points and miles for years now. He is a corporate traveler, and so he travels a lot for work. And so he's been Hyatt Globalist for just like a long time now. So I feel like we've been doing this without even knowing we've been doing it for at least like 10 years. And so I would say like in the last 5 years is when the aha moment happened and we realized there was a much bigger opportunity for us that we had even been digging into. So I would say like in the last 5 years is when we really, really took it very seriously.
I think we all kind of have that aha moment where we switch from doing it the traditional way to realizing how we could really maximize it. In fact, I was sitting in therapy today, guys, because mental health, and I was talking to my therapist about the recent trip I took, and she was saying like 15,000 points for one night at a hotel. I mean, like, didn't you have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to earn those 15,000 points? Like, how do you even do that? And I was like, oh my gosh, even I talk about this kind of a lot in therapy because it's obviously a big part of my life. It comes up. And even my therapist, after all our time together, didn't fully grasp what we're doing over here. So when that light bulb clicks, man, does it change the game, the welcome offers and everything else. So that's really fun. How did it turn into, I mean, your Instagram is fantastic. When did you decide to start posting it online?
Yeah, so it's about like a year and a half old now. And then, it's grown pretty quickly. So yeah, I don't know. I think at just some point I was just answering so many questions for so many friends and families, and they're like, how are you taking all these trips? And so at that point I was just like, oh, I'm just going to start this. Who knows what it'll turn into? And it was a very, very intimidating experience to start on Instagram. But I decided to stick with it. And then, so it's been growing, which has been really fun. And I've gotten to meet so many incredible people through this world. And, I just have been able to learn so much from other people in this world that I'm really glad that I, took the big leap of faith and started it even against a lot of my best wishes.
I'm really excited to dig into Mexico City. Before we do that, really quickly catch us up on your family dynamic and who you travel with.
So it's my husband and I, and then we have 3 kids. They're 15, 13 and 11, so a full-on two teenagers and a tween. So our dynamic, like I would say that we do about 60% of our travel with our children, and then my husband and I always have 2 trips a year that we do by ourselves, where the grandparents,
Lovely.
yeah, either set gets to watch them, and then I do like 2 girl trips a year. So
That's amazing. I love that balance. I think that's really,
yeah,
really important.
it
And
really
having
helps. Yeah.
nearby grandparents that can step in and do the kids, what a game changer.
Rub it
Also,
in, guys.
really
Rub
is.
it
sorry,
in.
I'm sorry. I was
Shout out to
thinking
all
of
those
you.
who do not have grandparents nearby.
Well, we are one set of grandparents. They fly in to help us once a year.
Oh, that's
Awesome.
But it-
so sweet.
Yeah, it also then, balances as another visit for them. So they're happy, I think, too.
Yeah, that it makes a lot of sense. And just so you know, we are in it with the teenager. I have a 14-year-old. Her son today turned 13. So we are.
God bless. It's a new world.
Ooh, 14-year-old girls are something. I know nothing about the boys, but I can tell you.
I'm far more nervous about the girls than the boy.
Yeah,
She's
I
got a
know
little
the boy
ways.
our boy is our young one, and he just like flies under the radar. He's only 11, so I don't know what that'll turn into, but I'm not worried. It's the girls that are.
It's hard. It's hard, but that is not what we are here to talk about today.
No.
Even though I could have a whole separate podcast about parenting teen girls. Anyway, okay, let's talk Mexico City. Found this from a really cute reel that you posted where you did an amazing job hitting all of your 48 hours in Mexico City in one reel. It was just absolutely chock full of inspiration. So this happened, I think you said back in November. You extended your Thanksgiving travel to include that 48 hours in Mexico City. What inspired you to actually do this?
So like each Thanksgiving, we are in the Arizona area. We fly into Phoenix and then go to Tucson actually to visit the kids' grandparents there. And so what I like to do is, since we're kind of in that part of the world, is I'm always looking at opportunities to tack on something interesting on the end of it before we home to the New York City area. I always do. I don't know if you guys do this, but I start with flight connections, and I just kind of see like what are some of the direct flights from the airport area that I'm going to be in. And for Phoenix, it's awesome because Mexico, there's a lot, that you can get to. And so what we've typically done in the past is go to Cabo, which is super easy. People from Phoenix, that's their spot. It's like 2 hours, so it's just the easiest fun adventure. But we wanted to try something different. And another thing that I always do is I keep like a running list on my phone of like 10 to 15 spots in the world that I really want to visit. And my husband and I have always kind of just followed the philosophy of follow the deal rather than the destination. So I'm always looking between that. So this was like a combination. Flying from Phoenix, I saw that it was about only 2.5 hours to Mexico City, which is incredible. Yeah. And then that coupled with Mexico City was like one of the top 5 places on my list that I wanted to visit. I thought it was going to actually just be a place I would visit at some point with my husband. But since, we found a really great flight deal, and it was near Phoenix, I was like, let's just try it. Because our kids now, ages, they're becoming little world travelers, and it's becoming easier and easier. So there's not a lot of places that would make me that nervous to take them right now. So it just kind of like all the stars aligned. And 2.5 hours, that's like,
that's
amazing.
awesome.
I think it's so magical. Tacking it on to the end and being okay to be somewhere for 48 hours. Like, man, we are here for this.
Yeah. And I'm starting to look ahead for like this Thanksgiving and using that flight connections again. It just opens up a world of possibilities that I found some things. Oh, and even like Vancouver that I just hadn't even really thought about. Yeah. And it's really helpful.
We love hearing tools that people use because it can get overwhelming. Points and miles is really exciting, but it can also get overwhelming, and how to use those points and miles can be difficult sometimes. So Flight Connections is a great tip. Which airline did you end up finding a good deal on, and did you pay cash for the flight? Or, was this a points earning opportunity, or was this you used points for this flight? Because Thanksgiving weekend is also a very expensive time to travel.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's hard for a lot of people, but I typically am always looking like 9 months at a minimum out. So, and the way like I tell my friends, what we like to do is it's almost as we finish one holiday or one like school trip, I have it in my mind that I'm going to have to soon start looking for the next year. And I feel like that always helps me find some of the better rates when it's that far in advance. Because for a lot of, for families that have kids, we're always operating on the same kind of given periods of time. So it's not that hard. It just takes like a little more forward thinking. So, I probably looked for this about 9 to 10 months out, and I just found great deals. This was a Virgin Atlantic flight from Phoenix directly to Mexico City, and it was flying on an Air Mexico plane. And I want to say this was about like 10,000 points per person. And I do most of our travel is in points, hotels, and airlines. So we're always just kind of earning points and banking them. So there's and we like to earn in a lot of different currencies. So we have flexibility all the time. When I am at the point of thinking about a trip, I always run my searches usually through like 3 tools. And so my favorite is Seats.aero, which I'm sure all you guys are probably using already. But then I, just in case things aren't like covered or, they're not always accurate. So then I always, as my second source, use point.me. And then for this trip, I used Points Yeah, which I just use a free account for Points Yeah. The other two, I have the full account. And I believe for this one, I found this originally just on Seats.aero. And then the return trip, I found not on either of the first two, but I found it on Points Yeah. So it was just another reason why sometimes you just have to do the legwork of searching.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love Points Yeah. People think I'm weird that I like it more than Seats.aero, but I have had really great luck with the free tool. And I want to remind our audience, because we've got some new people coming in with the Yahoo newsletter and everything. So some of them are real beginners here. These are tools that help you search points availability. They also have different features that can do hotel availability, depending on which one you're using. And on top of using these amazing tools that help you find these award flights, it is very good to actually go straight to the source itself if you're familiar with various partnerships and alliances, and search there too. Because I just recently helped my parents book some flights that came up on none of the search tools. And
It's
then
crazy.
I found them manually, and I was a little bit taken aback because I do kind of forget sometimes. I kind of fall back into complacency with the tools, and that you got to remember, like if you're going to be dedicated, you might as well just go, full in and learn how to do all the searches yourself as well.
Yeah, one more little extra step. And I've just recently found things too, direct, that were on nothing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what intimidates people that are just getting started out, because it can seem a little overwhelming. But to just break it down by like some direct searches and just a simple looking into like a partner alliance and some of the common ones, and then looking directly, it can make it a little easier. But I know it can be really intimidating for people that, are trying to just get started in all of this.
Yes. If you're just getting started, you definitely start with the tools. They will make your life much easier. We will get right back to the episode, but we want to share one of our absolute favorite travel products with you right now. We both have this. We both purchased it with our own money. First, Mary Ellen got it, and I saw hers, and I was like, what is this magic? And then I bought one. And this is a backpack from Amazon, you guys. And I cannot say enough good things about this backpack. It is the perfect personal item. Literally every feature. It fits in unbelievable amount of stuff. It fits under the seat. I've never had it questioned as my personal item. Tell them more, Mary Ellen. I don't even have words.
Oh, yeah. It's 40 liters, so it holds a ton, although you can get it in several different sizes and styles to fit, whatever size you like. But Joanna and I both have the 40-liter one, and we have found that to be perfect. It has so many well thought out pockets. Of course, there's a spot for your computer, but there are pockets all over this thing. And then I love that it has clips on the side, and then it has a zipper that unzips all the way around. So you can open it up like a suitcase. But then for safety, when you're traveling, those clips on the side can be clipped. So it's not like someone can come running up behind you and unzip your book bag very quickly because of the added clips. So I think it's a really secure option for travel. I have found that it's brought me some comfort for being a little bit more secure while still zipping up all the way open like a suitcase.
We both have some pictures and videos on our Instagrams, and please message us if you'd like to see these. And of course, we have a link for you in the show notes because we believe in this bag so much. This is an affiliate link. It does earn us a very small commission, and buying things through our links is a great way to give back to the show. It really helps us, it supports us, and it makes us really excited when we love stuff so much and then you guys end up falling in love with the same things.
Yep, we only share items that we truly do love. And so this backpack, we have different styles because I love that different people can choose a different aesthetic and it looks slightly different while still having all the same great features. So find that link in our show notes. Okay, let's get back to today's episode. Are interested in trying Seats.aero after hearing some of the tools, we do have a link in our show notes. So we would love if you would click our link. That would be awesome.
Absolutely. It is the more advanced of the search tools, and it will return a lot of things for you. So it's definitely worth having. Let's talk about the property that you stayed at. So you stayed at a Hilton property. Tell us which one and then how much it cost, where your points came from, all of those details.
We stayed at the Hilton Reforma, which is in kind of the historic center of Mexico City. And I actually heard about this property from another podcast, Let's Get to the Points. They had stayed there for the Day of the Dead festivals. And so that was the first time I had heard about it. So I looked into that. I want to say that was 50,000 points a night. And with my family with 5 and the 3 kids being like the teen age, we're always booking 2 rooms.
Okay. That was
and then
definitely going to be a
had
question. As a mom of 5, that is always the question.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are definitely there. We just, even some of the properties with like pull out situations, we're just, my daughter's like taller than me. Yeah, we're just like big adults now. Yeah. So, and we went with another family who also, had to get several rooms. So it just was kind of an easy option, not too expensive. It looks centrally located. And it also, I had at least had a reference that I heard other people staying there that they enjoyed it. So it was fine.
Amazing. Did you transfer those from Amex? So was it half the cost, or did you already have Hilton co-branded card points?
Yes, my husband and I, we both have like multiple businesses, so we get a lot of business cards, and so we both have the Hilton business card.
Nice.
And so these were straight just Hilton points.
Did you say it's 50,000 points a night, which if you do transfer for American Express would just be 25,000 points per night, which is pretty reasonable.
Yes, when we booked this, now again, I don't know what it is currently, and obviously with Hilton, it can fluctuate a great deal, but I couldn't believe it because, for Hilton, that's not bad at all. So it was around 50,000.
And you guys probably have some kind of status holding those cards, I would think. Do you guys have gold status with the free breakfast?
Yeah, so we unfortunately we do have gold status, but we don't have I believe the Aspire card. We don't yet have that card. I believe that's the one that comes with the even higher level. But gold we have through I believe that card comes with gold, but then to the Amex Platinum has the Hilton Gold and Marriott Gold. So we just always hold on to at least a platinum or two in our family so that we all have it. And so the breakfast at that hotel, I want to say, was like even nicer than the hotel. It was
Wow.
amazing breakfast, everyone included. And I know, like, if you guys stay at Hilton's in the United States, sometimes the food and breakfast can be like a credit or,
Hmm.
some sort of a breakfast. But I find that like when you're traveling outside of the US, it can be so much more incredibly better. And this was a really nice breakfast. The kids loved it. And
That's
when they eat so much at breakfast and then no one's even hungry for another snack until hours later. So
That's what we like to hear. People who have been listening to the show for a long time will remember that we used to say free breakfast is our love language before it got
hmm
a lot harder to get free breakfasts
right.
everywhere. It used
It's
to be
really
much
hard. I
easier.
know.
But
I
that gold
know.
status is nice if you can get that through a card and you're covering everybody and they eat up and then you don't have to maybe buy lunch out, maybe you're just doing little snacks, especially with a 5-person family. That is a way to save a lot of money.
It certainly helps. And the restaurant, even our friends sat with us and they weren't charged. Like, it was incredible.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, was the hotel in walking distance to a lot of what you explored in Mexico City? Give us some of the highlights of the things the closest to the hotel so people know a little bit more about the area that it's in.
Yeah, so one of the reasons that we also chose this hotel was that it's in like I guess the area in Mexico City kind of known as like the historic center. So we were very easily able to walk to a lot of the things that I posted in my reel. It's right adjacent to this beautiful park called the Alameda Central, and I apologize for my pronunciation. Um, and so we did that in the morning, and then we walked down a beautiful avenue that was number 5 with amazing stores. And for like my age kids, they also love when we visit and there's stores that they can go in and shop. There was like a Zara, there was a lot of like American things, and then obviously a lot of like smaller boutique kind of stores as well. And so you just walk down this beautiful avenue and you end up, I want to say 20 minutes later, at the plaza, the Constitution Plaza, and the Metropolitan Cathedral, which is, I would recommend if anyone's going that they at least see those things. So it could not have been a better location to just be able to walk to and see that in our first day. So it was really ideal.
Walkability is everything. I think Mary Ellen and I both feel the same. If we don't have to rent a car or be dropping a lot on transportation, either walkability or a great public transportation system, which I think we'll ask about in a little bit. I do
Yep.
want to jump back. We kind of skipped over this. Getting to the airport or from the airport to your hotel. I notoriously have an episode about Cancun where I talk about the absolute nightmare that the Cancun airport is when it comes to transport, Uber, getting to your hotel, all of that. So I'm very curious how it is in Mexico City because I just went to Cabo and it was amazing. Night and day
Mhm.
difference than Cancun. So is this more of that high pressure sales aggressive environment, or did you just book something in advance, pick something up when you were there, to really set the scene for us there? Because that's a huge thing I think about now every time I go to Mexico.
Yeah. So if I would say the only part that was like a complete haze for us was when we got off the plane, we didn't really have a plan to get to the hotel. It was 3 miles. And so no one worried about it. It was an absolute nightmare.
Okay.
And I still want to highlight this as a trip worth taking. I just don't think we put enough planning into
Hmm.
understanding how it worked. So we waited for it was very like convoluted and hard to even understand where to go or what to do.
Yep.
And so we ended up waiting in like a taxi line for about an hour. And it was just, I think we also got there at a really busy time. It was like, right after Thanksgiving. The airport was so busy. So I'm not sure this would be the experience all the time,
Hmm.
but we definitely, if going back, would try to better understand the best way. Because like I
Yeah.
said, it was only 3 miles, but it took about an hour. And then from there, when we got the taxi, is unbelievable in Mexico City. Again, I'm not sure if it was highlighted by when we arrived, but it took us over an hour to go the 3 miles.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's the only thing that I would really research a lot more. And
Yeah.
like Cabo is so easy.
Oh
Cabo's
my
like a
gosh.
dream.
I
Yeah.
went to Cabo expecting Cancun and I was like, this is magic. Everybody, by the time they hear your episode, our Cabo episode will have just come out last week. So if you want to hear about that, go back to last week and listen to it. We actually haven't recorded it yet because things happen out of order here sometimes. But so Mary Ellen hasn't even heard me go on and on and on about how amazing it was. But that was our experience in Cancun, was that we did not plan. I was like, it's surely going to be very easy. I had Googled, I found I could take Uber. Turned out not to really be the case, but yeah, if there are so many options for basically anywhere. If you go on Viator and use it as a points earning opportunity to book like round trip shuttle, it could be a shared shuttle, it could be a private transport, and it's not really that expensive if you get the shared ones. And I think that's probably a worthwhile place to go when you're going places like Cancun, and it sounds like Mexico City as well, because it's just chaotic to not know what's going on.
It was the most chaotic thing I've ever seen at any airport, and I would definitely recommend exploring a shuttle.
Yeah.
Well, it just highlights how great it was that your hotel was in a very walkable area because
100%. Yes,
avoiding
100%.
anywhere in a car in that area sounds like a good idea. So I love that it was walkable. Another really cute thing that you had on your reel, you mentioned, I found this so relatable, that your kids found the most expensive Krispy Kreme donuts on the planet because, of course, they did. Did you find, though, that other than the Krispy Kreme, the food in the area around your hotel was pretty pricey, or was it generally reasonable?
Yeah, I thought very reasonable, unbelievably reasonable. And I think that's like another great highlight of Mexico City and a lot of Mexico. The food was just incredibly reasonable there. If you decide to go more the route of like authentic taquerias, I mean, it's dollars. It's like so inexpensive and it's so high quality and so delicious. Um, and yeah, the Krispy Kremes, I don't, that's still a mystery, but they were 10 to 12 US dollars a piece.
What?
And so our friend ended up buying them and he's like, oh my gosh, that was just like $70. Like, I have no idea why. Everything else was like a dream, but the Krispy Kremes, I don't know.
So it was actually a name brand Krispy Kreme franchise.
It was a Krispy Kreme store, yes.
Why? They're
I
not
have
even
no
close
idea.
to that here.
I have no idea. Yeah.
Also, Mexican authentic baked goods are like way better
Oh,
than a Krispy Kreme donut.
100%. And so like 2 minutes later, we got churros for like, for the whole family for $2. So yeah, I would stick with the churros.
Yeah, churros are better anyways, in my personal opinion, but I'm also not a big donut girl, so I'm not the one to ask about that. I did the street vendors and the al pastor tacos that you put in there. I mean, that is all I want to eat when I'm in Mexico. Just give me the street food. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to know that you felt that it was high quality and nobody's getting sick, because there was an incident about 15 years ago where I did eat some street food and was very unwell. But that was in a very small town outside Puerto Vallarta, not in Mexico City. So
Yeah.
it's nice to hear that.
Yeah. I think this would be worth another trip just to go to more of the taquerias.
About street vendors and paying them, are you paying people in USD? Did you actually exchange money for pesos? Or are you able to like tap a card anywhere you go?
So I would say, if memory serves, for any of the more local spots, the taquerias, we paid with local currency. Any of the larger restaurants, obviously, we just did credit cards. Any of the big stores, we did credit cards. And then local vendors, we were back to currency. So we were able to for whatever reason, we never seemed to remember to travel with enough currency ahead of time. So we were able to get it. I believe my husband just got it at the hotel there.
The street vendors, you also found several incredible looking restaurants. For lunch, you guys found spot with great views of the, I'm going to say Constitution Plaza. I'm just going to say it more in English because my Spanish is non-existent. And then for dinner, there was an outdoor spot with just gorgeous ambiance. There were these blue lights all around. Guys, we are going to link this reel. I apologize that we keep referencing a reel that you have not seen, so you don't have this visual in your mind, but we're going to link it in the show notes so you can go find not just Cam's page, but the link exactly. But it was beautiful, that restaurant. So were both of those just highly recommended? Was the food great as well as the ambiance?
Yeah, they were absolutely beautiful. The first one was called the Balcon del Zocalo. I'm sorry pronouncing it for pronunciation, but it was located in a hotel. But what was really just unbelievable was it was overlooking the entire plaza. It was just magical. This one, you had to take an elevator up. It was just really beautiful. This one was more expensive. I would say this was more high end. It had, you could tell like a lot of local people there. It was like a brunch scene. So this one was definitely our priciest meal. We always have like one kind of meal when we're on vacation. That's something really special. And I would say this was it. That night, we went to another restaurant that was in the historic center that was called Azul. This had been, both of these first two were recommendations from different friends and families who had been there. And so we knew that, you know, they'd be okay with like having teens and kids there. And Azul is absolutely beautiful. We sat outside and it's just decked in like these twinkling blue lights. And it was so nice and warm. It was like really magical. And I would say that one is more moderately priced. And then for any of the like lesser expensive options, there's just the taquerias that are just unbelievable as well. So there, it can run the gamut between high end and, you know, very moderate to low.
And that sounds amazing. And you said it was warm, and this was kind of Thanksgiving week. So we didn't really put any questions in here about the weather, but it sounds like the weather is very lovely during the end of November in Mexico City. You'd recommend that time?
It was beautiful. We would start like the days, I would say it was like 50 degrees. And so we'd start with a sweater, but then by midday, everyone had just like they're taking the sweater off and just it was t-shirts and skirts. And yeah, it was really lovely. It was perfect for walking.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I want to go back. I'm like home already and have the post trip depression has set in.
I know.
Ugh, it's hard. Okay. So your second day there, you took an Uber, and I am curious about the Uber situation since it sounds like it was so rough, the traffic to get to the airport. How was the Ubering? And also, of course, we want to hear about the museum, but we are interested. Did you feel like it was a safe option? Was it affordable? And were you sitting in a car for 900 years?
Yeah, so it was, it felt very safe, very affordable. The hotel helped us hook it up. So they helped us get the Uber, you know, and so we took two cars. Our friends made it, you know, several miles to the museum that we were trying to go to very quickly. Our Uber driver unfortunately took a wrong turn, so it did take a bit longer. You know, which is interesting because my husband's fluent in Spanish. So I don't know how like the miscommunication happened. So ours took a little bit longer, but it felt very safe. The traffic in Mexico City is absolutely no joke. So that is something to just be aware of.
Overall, do you think that took to get to and back? Like if someone's planning a day around this museum, how much time should they factor in for the transportation?
I think it should probably only take like 15 minutes. Ours took us like an hour to get there, but I think it was just an unlucky accident. But I think it's like a 15-minute trip from where we were staying.
About the museum, was it good for all ages, primarily older kids?
It is absolutely beautiful. This was kind of the one place that my husband had been to before, and it was kind of the only thing on his list that we had to do. It has like, I guess, the world's largest collection of ancient Mexican art, and there's 23 exhibits, so it's an unbelievably large facility. We had other things that we had already factored into our day and like friends to meet and stuff. So we spent about like an hour and a half there, but I think you could easily spend like 3 to 4 hours. It was just absolutely beautiful and really sprawling.
We will be right back to today's episode, everybody. But as you know, Wonderland on Points is presented by Yahoo Travel. If you're budget friendly, care about points and miles, or just want to help your family travel more for less, we built something for you. The Why Wonder newsletter, written twice a week by Joanna and myself, gives you the ground rules, tips, and tricks on earning and using points and miles.
You'll also get travel news, great articles that we're loving, and the latest developments from Yahoo Travel that listeners of this podcast would absolutely love. It's informative and it's helpful and fun. It's everything you love about us right here at Wonderland on Points, but we're sending it straight to your inbox. So you can sign up for the Why Wonder newsletter at travel.yahoo.com or at the link in our show notes. And now back to the episode. Oh, that sounds amazing. How much was it to get in? Do you remember?
I think it was maybe $10 to $15 US dollars.
Okay, that's not
Well
bad at all.
worth it. Yeah, well worth it.
What's the name of it?
The Museum of Anthropology would be the English,
perfect.
but yeah.
Yeah.
If you just Google that, yeah. But
Easy.
It's gigantically large. Also set like right in one of their most beautiful parks, so it makes for a great opportunity afterwards to walk through. And then there were street fairs going on throughout the park, so the kids, they kind of loved that as much as the museum itself.
Yeah, what do you think your kids liked? In that 48 hours, you guys packed so much into your trip. What do you think ended up being your kids' favorite things? If you had to say, and maybe for the youngest, what was their favorite? That I know may be different than the oldest, but what were the biggest highlights if someone's planning a trip with kids in mind?
I think my kids and their ages, they love walking around and seeing like the authentic streets and the shops. So that is always, no matter where we go, their favorite part, the walking. So it was nice that it was good weather. It was nice, the streets that we picked to walk on. And then their other favorite thing I would say is just how amazing the food is. I feel like they're little budding foodies, and they just absolutely loved the food.
Anything that you would skip? Like if someone really only had 48 hours, is there anything you felt like we would leave that and spend more time doing other stuff?
Yeah, not on our trip because, and if you link my reel, I like list every single place that we went to. Ours, so one of the things that we also love to do is like when we're in a certain location, we throw it into like a Chat GPT walking tour. And so this just gave us like a super nice concise walking tour from where our hotel was located in, and I wouldn't miss anything. I think so Mexico City is 16 boroughs, and it is one of the most vast places I've ever seen. So there are so many neighborhoods. I would say we touched on 2, but there's just so many neighborhoods. So, I mean, you could stay there for easily multiple days to a week and still not even see all the neighborhoods. So I really loved everything that we saw, but we didn't even get to hit on a lot of the neighborhoods in that short of a time.
So what do you think you would want to include when you go back? Because your husband, it was the museum for him. He had been before and he was like, hey, I really want to make sure we go to that museum. Is there anything that you didn't have time for specifically that you think, okay, the next itinerary has to include this?
Yeah, so some of the neighborhoods we spent almost no time in are called La Condesa, Roma Norte, and Zona Rosa. And we just didn't have time with our short stay there. We kind of got to see mostly the historic center. So if we go back, which I'm sure we will, I would probably map that out ahead of time so we would know exactly, which day we'd spend in each neighborhood to really get, a good authentic feel of like the vibe and culture in each particular neighborhood, because it just sprawls miles and miles. It's hard to take in that short of a time.
That's super good feedback. Is there a public transportation system that's really effective for getting you between the neighborhoods, or are you walking or Ubering for all of this?
So we decided to just do Ubers when we needed it. Most of what we did, because it was in the historic center, we were able to walk to, but for the visit to the museum, we did the Uber. We have a friend that's living there now, and the only advice she shared with us was that to not really primarily use the subways. And the buses, as she felt the safety wasn't as strong as just doing an Uber. So we made that just a personal family decision that we weren't going to experiment with that. And we were there for such a short time. Maybe if it was just my husband and myself, we'd experiment so we could actually report on it. But we did not, just based on that little bit of advice.
No, I think that's very wise. Listen to advice of people who live there for sure.
Yeah.
General tips or tricks that you want to leave everybody with, or that you think other the transportation, that's a great one to keep in mind, that, feel that out for yourself, decide if you think that's a good idea or not. I love hearing from a local, someone who lives there, to give advice. Any other general tips to keep in mind when visiting Mexico City? Anything that's super helpful? Some places in the world have really great apps that are very helpful. Anything that might be good for somebody planning a trip?
I think like the most important thing would be to really do like a chat GPT or a Google search of the different neighborhoods. With a really simple search, you're able to pull up some that maybe like the top 5 that people consider to be really like authentic and beautiful to visit. If you're there in a short time, it's nearly impossible to visit all of them. So if I were doing it again and wanted to see some of these other neighborhoods, I would probably then choose a place to stay that was more centrally located, seeing how crazy the traffic is there. Because there's just so many areas that people seem to love so much that we just didn't have time to do in such a short amount of hours there. But my advice would be to really spend some time researching the different neighborhoods and see what would appeal to your specific situation and your family, and then base a location based on that, just seeing how crazy the traffic is.
Yeah, location is everything. It seems like depending on where you're going in the world, sometimes you think, okay, we're not going to splurge on a hotel that is right in the spot. We can, be outside the city and we can get somewhere easily on public transit. But it seems like Mexico City is a spot that maybe you want to prioritize location for your hotel. Splurge, spend more points if you need to, but be right where you want to be.
Yes, that was, I think, our biggest takeaway, just seeing how dense the traffic was everywhere, that I would definitely make sure you just kind of figure out exactly what neighborhood you want to explore if it's a short period of time, and be more centrally located in that area.
Yeah, that's great advice. Well, let's switch gears a little bit and you tell us where Points and Miles are taking you next.
So we just got back from Italy for my kids so we were in Milan, and then we made our way through to Verona and to Venice. So
amazing.
I know, and we lucked out, I booked this like so long ago, and I thought it was going to be freezing, and so I wasn't really sure what to expect. And for some reason, the travel gods were shining on us, and it was like 60 degrees most of the time.
How nice.
So it was beautiful. So we got to see Venice, which, is in the prime months so crowded, but this is such off season for them. So we got the relatively nice walking weather, and like no one was there. So it was so lucky.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So we just got back from that. And then their next break, we're always looking at like kind of the school calendar, right? And so they have that February winter break, and then their next like spring break is March. And so, I'm sorry, April. And we're doing Hawaii for their spring break, which no one in our family has been to Hawaii yet. So we're excited about that.
That's going to be fun. Which island, and which are you doing, a Hyatt or somewhere else?
Yeah, so we are flying into Waikiki. We will be staying at the Regency. I know because it has like a famous Regency club that, my kids will love.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be staying there. And then we're staying there for a couple nights, and then we're trying out, we did a property that's through the Edit collection. So we have the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and so we're trying out one of their Edit hotels that's more of a boutique property for 2 nights afterwards, and then flying back to spend a little time in Los Angeles and then flying home. So we'll break up the trip a little.
Fun.
Incredible. All the places sound delightful. So where can people follow you? We already mentioned your name, but remind everybody where they can follow you online to see about all of these great places.
Yeah, so I'm just at the Points Principal on Instagram is my primary, and so they can find me there. We're always doing family travel and all things points and miles.
Yes, and I will be sure to put a link straight to your Instagram in the show notes. So all people have to do is head down there and click on it. As a reminder to everyone, make sure you are signed up for our Why Wonder newsletter. You can find that at travel.yahoo.com, or you can find that at the link in our show notes as well. Make sure you're following us in all the places, Instagram, Facebook group. You know the drill. We are so happy to have you here, Cam. Thank you for sharing with us. And we'll see you all next time, guys.
Thank you, ladies. It was so fun.
It was so fun.
Thank you so much for joining us for today's episode. We hope you learned something new and feel inspired to plan your next trip.
Remember, we're travelers sharing our experiences, not financial advisors, so always do your own research and make informed decisions.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow so you never miss a Points and Miles tip.
We'll see you next time on Wonderland on Points.